Welcome to Final Take, everyone. I am Jostun Pomplun, filling in for Curtis Rowan, who decided to take the night off and get back to his job of being a sports producer. And joining me tonight on the debate desk are Chris Watkins and Marty Kauffman. Marty, how's it going tonight?
I miss football, Jostun. It's been about 2 weeks, and I'm ready for September football to start up again.
Chris, first time on the show. How's it feel to be here?
First time. I'm ready to roll. I've been waiting for this. So between this and tomorrow, calling the game should be fun.
We have a fun and exciting episode for tonight as we will discuss your pointer sports, high school basketball, the Wisconsin Badgers, Milwaukee Bucks, and NFL offseason news. First, we start with the third-ranked men's hockey team. They swept UW-Stout this past weekend. In the first game on the road, the Pointers dominated Stout 6-0. Garrett Ladd and Kyle Sharkey led the way as each player scored 2 goals while goaltender Brandon Jaeger tallied his 4th shutout of the year. The Pointers outshot the Blue Devils 55-22 in the contest. The second game was a different story. Down 2-0 at home, the Pointers scored 3 unanswered goals, including the game winner in overtime to beat Stout 3-2. Lawrence Cornelius scored the overtime game winner 47 seconds into the extra period. Gentlemen, what do you think of the team after this weekend?
I think it just shows they can win in any fashion, any given night. You go one night, you beat them 6-0, dominate. Next night, you're down 2-0 going into the third period, 3 unanswered goals, including the game winner, 47 seconds in overtime. By not one of their leading scorers either, it shows you that this team can win in all fashions of the game.
It was my first look at the hockey team. What I noticed, they were very aggressive. They controlled the game, especially on Saturday night. I believe the shot count was 46-19 in favor of the Pointers. What I didn't really like, they moving forward cannot come out that slowly. If you fall behind 2-0, 2 periods in, you're not going to win a whole lot of hockey games, and that could hurt them moving forward in tournament time.
But especially with a team like that, I mean, sometimes they fall behind, but with a veteran team like that, they have the experience to go in and come back like they did. But also, too, I mean, the previous game, too, I believe the shot total in the Friday game was 55-22, 46-19. Then the following night, it might have been a case, too, of just a hot goaltender for Stout, just stopping the Pointer offense, too. And you'll have one of those nights, but once you finally get one in, the momentum starts coming, and you start getting the puck going in. So I agree with you. They cannot keep going. Cannot start slow going forward, especially with playoffs coming up.
Right.
But this team right now, they're clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah, there's no doubt that the Stout goalie played a one heck of a game, and that out of all the hockey games I've seen here, that was one of the best games I've ever seen to come from behind like that and win it in overtime. Well, the team is currently on a 5-game win streak. Can this team keep it going, the play going into the postseason?
Absolutely. This team is just getting quality play from all sides of the ice. I mean, defense, you got playmakers like Kevin Gibson feeding the puck to the scorers. Joe Kalis is the leading scorer this year. I don't think that was expected. He would be the leading scorer this year, but hey, you take it any way you can get, especially a player like Cornelius getting a game-winning goal. You take a goal from anybody on that team. I mean, they're going to put the puck in the net. This team is clicking. I feel like they're the favorites going into the tournament. They're number 3, I believe, but they're hot as any other team in the nation right now.
Definitely. I feel that game Saturday definitely galvanized the team, especially coming from 0-2 down in your gym. Got your crowd going rowdy. Like I said, the only thing, I just like to see them start a little faster, but I do like their aggression, their fervor on offense, slapping the puck around, definitely controlling the momentum of the game. I think those are things that in the future will be able to propel them potentially to maybe some bigger and better things.
All right, now on to the women's side of the ice. The 8th-ranked Lady Pointers are finding ways to win. Going up against UW-Eau Claire, 4 players scored for the Pointers as the team cruised past the Blue Golds 4-0. Hannah Smith and Megan Minotti each scored a goal as goaltender Jana Belkey-Skow recorded her 3rd shutout of the year. In the second game, the Pointers defeated previously unbeaten 5th-ranked Adrian College 2-1. Kat Jedlow and Hannah Smith scored as Belkey-Skow got 22 saves for her 14th win of the season. With a 15-6-2 record and a top 10 ranking, do you see the Pointers making the national tournament?
I can see them making the national tournament right now, especially with a top 10 ranking. These girls right now, I think their best player right now is Annette and Belkey-Skow. She's been carrying this team defensively, stopping the puck, giving them a chance every single game to compete. And they're getting goals, I believe, from all different. They have a deep roster too, scoring goals. Most girls hockey teams do about 4 or 5 key players to lead you, and I think they're getting a little bit more from the bench as well to keep this team going.
Also, I feel that they'll be able to make the tournament, mainly because they have 2 games coming up against UW Superior, who happens to be on a 3-game losing streak. And in their losing streak, they've given up 13 goals total. So when you factor those things in, you factor the fact that the Pointers are 9-1-1 at home. and although they split the season series 1-1 so far with Superior, I feel that those 2 wins, which they should be able to get, they catch them at the right time, will put them at 7-3-2 in the conference and propel them into the national tournament.
And I think last year, too, they made the national tournament for the first time in a while, so this team's got that experience from last year. I believe they're in a similar spot where they're about second in the conference going into the postseason play, so I believe they have that experience to pull through this and make the national tournament.
Right.
Being there at that game this past weekend, the energy the fans and players showed after that win was truly amazing. It should give them momentum going down the stretch.
Definitely. I feel that they're really like in a no-lose situation just because they have 12 points in the division. I know the team above them has 18, but they're pretty much locked into that second spot, provided they handle their business against Superior. But I feel that they'll come out knowing that these are must-win games, knowing that you have to peak at the right time to go to the tournament. So I'm looking forward to see what they can do.
All right, now on to the court. The Pointers men's basketball team continued its winning ways as the team defeated conference foes UW River Falls 63-40 and UW Platteville 67-55. Against River Falls, it was the 3rd straight game the Pointers defense held the team under 44 points. As senior Alex Richard continued to lead the offense as he scored a game-high 17 points, while Joe Ritchie scored 16 points, and Sean McGann added 12 off the bench. Against Platteville, Ritchie led the way with 18 points and 10 rebounds for his 2nd career double-double. With these 2 games, do you think the offense is finally coming along for the Pointers?
I believe after these 2 games, the offense is finally coming back along slowly but surely. I mean, now you see they're getting more points from everyone all around, especially in double digits. I mean, Richard's been mainly the guy all year, but now Ritchie's scoring more. McGann coming 12 off the bench. They need a guy like that every single night to do that. I mean, now they got Pelkoffer back. He added double-digit points, I believe, against it was Platteville. Austin Riff contributes double-digit points every night. They're getting that. The ball's going around everywhere now for this offense. It's clicking. I believe they're about to start peaking at the right time, perfect time with Wednesday's game coming up, which we'll get to later. But I believe the offense is finally coming around for this team.
While I do agree, I do have a couple of concerns. I'm not sure as far, and I know this is kind of looking ahead a bit to the game tomorrow, but I want to see how they do against Whitewater. I really want to see how, because I know the last game they slumped very badly, and I don't want to use all my facts now. But I just want to see how it converts, because I know they have, the Pointers have 5 players in double figures. The ball is starting to be distributed more, and you get a more well-balanced, well-rounded scoring attack. But I want to see how it translates against the #1 team in the nation, because they have to rebound tomorrow night.
And I think right now, too, if you notice, they're getting healthier. I mean, you had a couple guys out. You were relying about 2 or 3 guys. Now you got 2 or 3 more, and maybe some guys on the bench got more experience. So I'm thinking the offense is finally coming around. The experience of this season finally playing more is getting. These guys are playing, or they're about to start playing their best basketball coming up, I believe.
So speaking of Whitewater, the Pointers are now 12-1 in the WIAC. Do you think the Pointers can get revenge against Whitewater tomorrow night?
I believe they can. At home, you're 12-1. You played them 1 time already. You had some injuries in that game too. This team right now, I believe, with Sembling, veteran coach, he's going to get these guys prepared. And especially right now, they're rolling. They've gotten some wins right now. They're a confident bunch, I believe. I think tomorrow night, big home crowd. I believe it's gold night, so I think tomorrow night's going to be the night for the Pointers to once again be in position to reclaim a WIAC conference championship.
I'm pulling for the Pointers, I truly am, but I have some trepidation. I'm just not sure. I know this is going to be rocking tomorrow night. Gold night. Alex Richard is going to have to be the gold standard for gold night. He had 12.7 rebounds last game. I think all 7 rebounds were on the offensive end, but he had a few turnovers late, which kind of destroyed the momentum that was building back when they were trying to get back in the game, and also not being able to score a field goal for the last 7:35 in the second half, it concerns me. Shooting 33% from the field last game against Whitewater, including 6 for 22 in the second half, which is only 27%. And they never held the lead either. So I'm very interested to see how they'll rebound, how they'll use the things that they saw and didn't really do too well against. I want to see how they react to these things tomorrow night, and hopefully they can get the win, but I'm not quite sure.
I think, too, it's more of a question of their offense and not their defense. Their defense right now might be one of the best in the nation, and I know they pride on being one of the top defenses in the nation. So I think, obviously, Richard, Richie, Riff, McGann's going to have to add more points off the bench. So they're going to need all the help they can get on offense.
I'm going to have to go with the Pointers on this one. The home crowd, as Marty said, is going to be a huge factor. gold night, the crowd's going to be in it, and then there's this thing, the Massey ratings. They do a bunch of different formulas for stats. They do it mostly for the higher levels of college sports. There's also one for Division III, and they got us projected to win by 2, and it's about a 59% chance to win. So Pointers have a shot in this one. And as they said, it's gold night, and if you can't make the game, Curtis and Chris will have the call, so make sure to tune into that. On the women's basketball team, they continue their up-and-down season as the team won 45-38 at UW River Falls, but fell in the final 2 minutes at home to UW-Platteville 72-69 in the Play-for-K game. At River Falls, Joanne Wolfenberg scored a team-high 13 points to lead the offense, while the defense held the Falcons' 18.6% shooting in the game. Against Platteville, Lauren Anklem continued her offensive dominance, scoring 20 points, and the Pointers shot a season-high 51% from the field, but it did not end in a win. What do you think of this team over the past week?
I feel like I've been I keep repeating myself. It's on the thing right there, up and down year. I mean, you go one night holding a team to 18.6% shooting from the field. Following game, you're shooting 51%, and you still cannot pull out the win in the end. I mean, it's another second half. They can't pull it out in the final minutes. It's one of those things where you think once in a while they would finally learn how to win a game in the end. I think it's just another thing of being inexperienced and young.
Definitely, you're going to have your peaks and valleys as a young team, and I feel, just like you said, that's kind of what they're going through right now. It's like a Jekyll and Hyde situation. They play their good games when the other team plays better, and they play bad games when the other team doesn't play as bad. So they just had to kind of right the ship a little bit, but I feel that'll come with more experience and more games under their belt.
I agree.
All right, well, we'll be back after a short commercial break to talk Wisconsin Badgers, Milwaukee Bucks, and high school basketball.
Be a part of something super Greek at UWSP. There are 9 chapters and colonies on campus: Phi Sigma Phi, Gamma Phi Delta, Theta Xi, Sigma Delta Rho, Sigma Tau Gamma, Delta Phi Epsilon, Tau Kappa Epsilon, Phi Mu Alpha Sinfonia, and Phi Omega. Greek life at UWSP is a great way to build your personal support system and resume. With Greek life at UWSP, you won't just be a member, but a happy friend to the chapters and colonies for life. See what opportunities Greek life could offer you.
Great opportunity to promote leadership, a great way to get connections, and also to build bonds between different groups.
You get the opportunity to grow yourself as a leader and as a person, both through your organization and connections through Inter-Greek Council and other avenues like that.
Greek life isn't what you see in the movies. I recommend checking out one of the recruitment events for the organizations and just seeing maybe you belong there.
These guys care about sports. The talk continues after the cameras stop rolling. Watch Final Take only right here on SPTV for anything Pointers, anything sports. Serving a campus of 9,600 strong. We are the home of UWSP Television. We are SPTV. You can find us on Charter Channel 983, online, or on any of our social media sites.
We resume with boys high school basketball. The top-ranked SPASH Panthers defeated conference rival Wisconsin Rapids 51-37 to remain undefeated in conference play. The following night, the Panthers lost its first game of the season on the road in Minnesota to Cretin-Durham Hall 69-60. With an 18-1 record and the lone loss to a Minnesota team, does this loss mean anything to the team's morale? And is it better that they don't have the pressure to remain undefeated?
I kind of tend to agree with that. There's a pressure going undefeated. I remember my junior year in high school, our hockey team, we had like a 19 or 20 game win streak. And sure, at first you're thinking, okay, but I mean, we're looking at polls. We're paying attention that you don't lose. So I think it's a little bit of takes a burden off their shoulders. But they're still undefeated to a Wisconsin team, so there's still that. But I think right now they're going to go right through their conference play, and I think they're going to probably hit maybe tougher teams on that road to Madison. But I think losing might give them a new perspective on what they need to work on too. It can be a benefit.
I hate to keep agreeing with you, but you are right. I completely agree. I feel the loss was actually beneficial for them. The last 18-0 team that I remember seeing play was the New England Patriots in that 2007 season. Sure enough, they left 18-1, but they didn't have another game to play. Here was SPASH, they lost the one game, but it's a lot more down the road. They still have everything in front of them that they want to play for. So while you may not have like an undefeated, potentially championship season, you'll still have the experiences to draw back from when possibly in the tournament and games down the line, you face that same adversity.
I don't think it was more of them losing the game. I think it was more of them being tested. They beat everybody else by double digits. About time they played a team that was up to their level. They had to go at the place. It was a road game for them, and they were at least tested by somebody, and they were able to get a good competitive game, so they know what to do in those situations going forward. Now on to the men's basketball for the Wisconsin Badgers. The 5th-ranked Badgers men's basketball team rolled through the Big Ten competition as they dominated Indiana in a 92-78 win. Frank Kaminsky continues his push for a Wooden Award as he scored 23 points, while Nigel Hayes added 16, and Bronson Koenig continues to grow at the point guard with 15 points. Against Northwestern, the Badgers won 65-50 as Koenig led the way with 16 points, sparking the debate. Do you keep him as the starter when Trayvon Jackson returns from his injury?
Yes, absolutely. We've had our debates before, Joss, and I am a Bronson Koenig guy, thick and thin. I am not a Trayvon Jackson supporter in the final minutes, so I believe you can rotate them, but right now he's like one of the go-to guys on offense. I believe that's sparking this team to keep scoring points. I mean, not typically a Bo Ryan team doesn't usually score that many points, but right now this year they're clicking on all cylinders on offense, especially with Koenig running the point. He's averaging 12.7 points a game and shooting 53% from the three-pointer and three-point line and 46% from the field. This guy's hitting his shots, and I like to see that a lot.
Also, in addition to your stats, only has 4 total turnovers during the stretch in which he's been starting. So he's definitely been lightened up, still getting about 4 rebounds a game, a couple of assists, and that's way up from his previous 17 games before, where he averaged about 5 points, shot 42% from the field, only 32 from 3. So he's definitely turned it up. However, I know Bo Ryan, always feels good teams, and I feel that Trayvon Jackson, that senior leadership, along with Frank Kaminsky, being your go-to guy, I feel that'll really come in handy in March. So I feel that that leadership factor may not be in Koenig's favor. So I think you may want to rotate him, ease Trayvon Jackson back into the lineup, let Koenig play, but ultimately I feel Jackson will be a part of this team down the line.
He'll be a part of this team, but I think in the big moments, in the big games late in the game, I think you got to keep Koenig out there. Last year, I believe right here, Trayvon Jackson averaged 10.7 points a game. Right now, Koenig's averaging 2 more than him, and that's a shot right there. And I believe he provides more offensive spark than what Jackson can provide for the team. Bronson
Koenig is definitely the better overall player than Trayvon Jackson, especially since he's been inserted into the starting lineup. But as Bo Ryan has done in all these past years, he's loyal, he goes with his senior guys. So I think if Trayvon Jackson's healthy enough to play, he will start, especially if he only gets a few minutes here and there once they work him back in. And then it doesn't matter who starts the game, it's about who finishes, and I think Koenig will be in more towards the end of games.
And one more thing, Jostun, I just like in March, when you face that elite competition, I just look back at Trayvon Jackson's game against Duke. Even though they lost by 10, came through with 26 points, I believe. So I feel that big game spotlight, I feel he relishes those moments. And I feel that that could be a contributing factor.
I'm going to counter right against you. He missed a shot against Kentucky in the Final Four, and he did not make the game-winning shot against Arizona, and they went into overtime, yet they still won. So he relishes in those moments. He did not come through the 2 biggest moments of his career. And I always put that up against him. Anybody who tells me he's been clutch, sure, he can beat Minnesota and Michigan State in a regular season conference matchup with a game winner, but if he has to do it on the biggest stage, and he has not done it yet.
But remember, Jordan missed more game-winning shots than he made also.
Yeah, but he made game-winning shots the biggest times. He had the shot against Utah, but we're not going to talk about him. Trayvon Jackson, to be clutch, needs to hit the big shots in the big moments.
Well, it's a good thing the Badgers have a pretty complete team this year. They return to the court when they travel to Nebraska tonight and host Illinois on Sunday. From college to the professionals, the forgotten team in Wisconsin, the Milwaukee Bucks, are having quite the year under new head coach Jason Kidd. The Bucks are currently 29-23 and in the 6th spot in the Eastern Conference. The Bucks recently defeated the Boston Celtics 96-93 and the Brooklyn Nets 103-97 to extend a 5-game home winning streak. With players such as 2nd overall pick Jabari Parker out for the year, how are the Bucks doing this, and can they continue this run into the playoffs?
I'll tell you what, they are the forgotten team in Wisconsin right now, but people are starting to come back to that Bradley Center. I think I've been to 1 Bucks game in my life, so I mean I've been one of those people that just don't pay attention to them, but now I'm starting to, hey, look at this team go. They're running up and down the court every single weekend, or every single game. I mean, Giannis might be one of the best young stars in the game. I mean, Bill Simmons of Grantland and ESPN says if he had a choice of the draft that Giannis was, he would have taken him over. He would have taken him number 1. I think it's showing right now. He can get down the court in 5 steps. And then you got guys like Brandon Knight. He's averaging like 18 points a game and should be an all-star, actually,
Yeah,
and he's not. But
yeah, I like where this Bucks team is going. This team is, to me, the surprise of the league. I know you have Toronto and Atlanta and Golden State, but nobody saw the Milwaukee Bucks even being relevant this year.
Especially without Jabari Parker.
Exactly. So, 29 and 23, I feel that, even though they're number 6 in the East right now, they'd be playing Washington if, the playoffs started today. And I feel that 6 is their ceiling at the moment just because Chicago, Cleveland, Toronto, Atlanta, and Washington are all ahead of them. But this team is definitely opening some eyes. And I feel with a piece or two, maybe in the future, plus, like you said, Brandon Knight, Giannis, the Greek Freak, a.k.a. the MID, the mid, I call him a monster in development. This team has some potential. I definitely like where they're going.
I think what I like, too, is that this is a team. They're winning as a team, too. So it's not just one guy winning or 3 players winning. It's a whole team that's winning these games for them.
Jason Kidd also has been pretty helpful for them, too. Bucks next return to the court when they take on Sacramento at the BMO Harris Bradley Center on Wednesday. We'll take a quick commercial break, but when we return, we discuss news surrounding the NFL offseason.
Don't let the snow and cold get you down this winter. The frozen tundra outside may keep you indoors, but here at SPTV, we'll still be getting you the best news, sports coverage, and entertainment that you need. Don't freeze your fingers and toes off to find out what's happening around campus. Stay warm, everyone.
Got an itch to be on air? Join the SPTV news crew. Being an on and off air reporter will help you gain experience in interviewing, shooting and editing video, and reporting behind the anchor desk. Join SPTV News, pointing to you.
With the first weekend without football behind us, the offseason NFL news is in for a roller coaster ride. Panthers defensive lineman Greg Hardy had his charges of domestic violence dropped and dismissed after the defendant did not appear in court. Colts linebacker DeQuell Jackson was arrested for assault of a pizza delivery guy, and Packers defensive lineman LaTroy Guion was arrested last week in Florida for possession of marijuana and a firearm. He was also found to have nearly $190,000 in cash that was reportedly his Packers checks cash so he can help his family with money. Does this situation affect Guion's status with Green Bay?
I believe it does. They have to evaluate this whole situation out immediately because he was in line for a contract extension and they wanted to sign up, but now with this coming up, now they have to evaluate, hey, do we want to bring him back? They don't even know what to do with the legal process is going to do, or the league, so they have that to deal with. And then you got B.J. Rodgers impending free agency, and then do you need to address D-tackle in the draft? That's one of the needs I've seen listed on the Packers draft boards that people think they need to draft in. So this whole thing now just complicates their offseason a little bit.
Definitely. I feel that now B.J. Rodgers is about as important as he was or has been since that 2010 NFC Championship game when he got the touchdown to win it. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see how they approach this going forward, but they're going to have to make some moves and quickly.
Out of these three, who is more likely to see the field next year, Jackson, Guion, or Hardy?
Now the question is, are we seeing them on the field with any team or their team?
Any team.
Any team. I gotta say Greg Hardy might be the most likely to play. He was on the exempt list all year. He had his charges dropped, so I think that helps him out a little bit that they were dropped. I don't know what the deal is with that, but I think he's the most likely just because his stuff seems to be over with, and Guion and Jackson are just beginning.
Right, his situation is far more progressed, so I think it will be Greg Hardy, although the Panther fan in me is kind of depressed because I do not see it being in Carolina.
Yeah, I don't think Hardy's going to be in Carolina either. He's going to be an unrestricted free agent, so he could sign with any team he wanted, and who knows who's going to sign him because he may face a 6-game suspension. Guion, I don't see him going back to the Packers. Who knows what his situation is going to be. And I think the most likely to see the field is DeQuell Jackson because he's the only one that's under contract currently. So the Packers this past week have been busy in the news with on-the-field issues too. A report came out this week that head coach Mike McCarthy is contemplating a switch in his offensive staff. The report coming after the controversy play calls over McCarthy's late game decisions in the NFC Championship game versus Seahawks says that current offensive coordinator Tom Clements will be promoted to associate head coach with play calling duties, and Edgar Bennett be promoted to offensive coordinator. McCarthy has always been the play caller. Do you think this is a good move or an overreaction from the NFC Championship game?
I think right now, that NFC Championship game, he really had to evaluate everything around him because they were 5 minutes away. And people can criticize that play calling all they want to. He put him in position to win with 5 minutes left. You had 12 points on Seattle with 5 minutes to go. You were in a position to win. So I don't blame that play calling then. But going forward, I think it's actually a pretty smart move for him to do it because he said in his post-game press conference when asked about Clay Matthews being hurt, he goes, I didn't know about it because I'm focusing on play calls. I have to worry about the next play call immediately. And I think, too, with promoting Tom Clements to the play caller position, I think it's smart, too. He's one of the most veteran assistants on that team. And Aaron Rodgers, too, at quarterback, he's been there before McCarthy was even there, so he knows almost all the playbook. He's almost an offensive coordinator or play caller himself. So I think this is a great move. You can really trust Rodgers and Clements to make the right play calls. And McCarthy can look at all aspects of the game now, not just play call. He can look at what the defense is doing, look better at challenges. I think his only challenge won this year was the Des Bryant overturn. So that was a smart call by him. But other than that, I think this is a great move. Most head coaches don't call plays anymore. You see Bill Belichick, he doesn't call any plays. Pete Carroll, both Super Bowl coaches, were just they manage all the game day operations. I think that's a great move.
Well, you mentioned Tom Clements, and he was also Aaron Rodgers' quarterback coach for a number of years, I believe from 2006 to 2011, that great MVP season. But this is an overreaction. This is a terribly bad overreaction. Mike McCarthy does not need to hand off any play calling duties, in my opinion, because he just folded in that game against Seattle. You're at the 1 yard line against the defending champions in their house, foot on their necks, and you don't go for it. You go for 3. When they kicked that field goal, I said they're going to lose this game because of Mike McCarthy.
Their goal line offense has struggled all year, so they were struggling to score points all year.
But
it's not the conservative play calling that lost in that game.
It's like this. When you die, you can't take money with you when you die. So while you're here, while the Packers were in that game, you have to take your shots. You got to go for it. I'm going for 6 and possibly missing it rather than a guaranteed 3 because I know the Seahawks are coming. I know they're going to rebound in their building, and I knew they were going to make it tough. I just felt they left points on the board.
But he put them in a position to win at 19-7. I mean, his play calling was working. Had they won that game, he would have been – no one would be questioning his play calling because they won the game. But because they lost in that fashion, the question came up about the play calling. But he had them in a position to win. So I don't know how you can say the play calling messed them up when every phase failed too as well. Not just the offense, but the defense and special teams. Not that I really don't want to keep getting into this game. It's bad memories, but I think the move is not an overreaction. I think he's really evaluating. He's a veteran coach. He's evaluating what to do to go forward to make this team even more successful. And I think, especially with Rodgers, two-time MVP, he knows the play call too. And he can audible. And Clements, I trust him too. He's one of the valued assistants on this team.
I agree, but that defense had kind of an out-of-body experience in that game against Seattle. I just feel that if you look at the trend throughout the season, I feel you have to try to give your defense more points. And I feel that, you kind of wouldn't know that you'd have a 12-point lead late in the game. So I think you just got to rack up the points as quickly as possible.
That was the highest scoring offense in the league this year, so you can't say they didn't give their defense enough points this year. That defense finally needed to close out one game, and they didn't do it.
Well, you got to know Brandon Bostic also. You never think he's going to mess up an onside
That's the thing,
kick.
too, with coaching is that now McCarthy can look at all phases of the game and tell coaches, make sure coaches are telling them what to do because he's focusing on play calls. He can now focus on special teams and defense as well.
I think only time will tell. It'll give McCarthy a chance to oversee the whole team, the defense, special teams, all that stuff. And although they've been together a while, I think it'll take Clements and Rodgers a while to get them figured out to know what exactly they want to do on offense. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for today. We thank everyone for tuning in with us. I'd like to thank Chris Watkins and Marty Kauffman for joining me with their insightful opinions on the debate desk. And a big thanks to our technical staff and all their hard work to make this possible. Be sure to check us out on Facebook at SPTV UWSP Television or follow us on Twitter at SPTV_UWSP. Also visit the UWSP homepage to locate all your Pointer Athletics information. And just remember Stevens Point, here at Final Take, anything Pointers, anything sports.
The Love Doctor is in. Catch all the college romance, dating culture, and love advice from the Love Doctor herself. Michaela Hilgart is the Love Doctor, only right here on SPTV.